All right. So, I don't know if I'm live or not right now. Hey, looks like I am. Now we got people in. I am technically feeling better. Technically. But I figured we could kind of talk about that and sort of what it means moving forward in the immediate future, and then some other updates as well for people that aren't on Patreon or anything like that that don't necessarily get those updates. But good to see you. Okay. Just finishing up some lunchy here. We did it's a fun coat. Well, it's a shirt, but could look like a coat. It's actually linen. It's just like printed linen. So it's really lightweight. But sorry for chewing with my mouth full, of course. But so, um, I'm dressed up today because I have to make an intro video, and Sydney said that I should I should look like this because no one else has looked like this, and it would be funny for me to make a video. I mean, this is what I look like, though. Obviously, I mean this is what it looks like when I'm just hanging out around the house. To be honest with you, so and these are prescription glasses, so I can see everything that's going on for the most part. Jessie, I'm glad to hear that. Is she doing better? I'm assuming so, since you said we're almost done with quarantine. Um, but was she? Did it take like? Did she quickly get better at the end, or did she start getting better like every day? That'd be interesting to know if that 2 week deal is pretty accurate, right? Um, but anyway, so there are some people in here now, so I figure we may as well start. But so essentially, what happened to me, I didn't really have like obviously I posted what happened, but I didn't really like explain in depth what had gone on. There are some people that have 2 weeks. It was quickly at the end, yeah. So from what I understand, Jesse, like at least with the two people that I had experience with, it was like they were deathly ill, and then like literally like right when they're like like they're right at the end of their rope and they're like I don't know if I'm getting better, like what's going, like then and then it's just boom 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 and they just start getting better, right? So that's good that that was a similar. I mean, it sucks obviously, but it's good that she's feeling better. But so I didn't really explain, exactly what it all meant. And then there were some people too that had commented, right, that they had experienced it before, from different things. So that's kind of what's tricky. So the day before, I had a chest. So like I still feel it right now. But essentially, what had happened is like, anytime I'm doing like outside work, kind of, or if I've been sick or whatever, like, I guess I'll preface this by saying, when I was really young, I've told this story before. I was in the hospital with walking pneumonia, and that was a really intense experience. Really high fever. I was like unconscious and stuff like that, and it scarred my lungs. And so I've always had either like allergy induced or activity induced. Anytime there's a lot of like strain on my lungs in general, I will have asthma symptoms, right? Or I'll start wheezing. And then especially living here in the early fall, late summer, or spring, I get really bad allergies where like some days I just wake up and I'm wheezing, right? And you guys know this. I literally all the time I'm like, I can't breathe, my allergies are killing me, feel like I'm sick, or then it turns into a sinus infection, something like that. So like I always have respiratory stuff going on. But what ended up happening was I had a pain, like literally over my heart, that was like, I mean, if I breathe in too much, if I breathe out too much, if I lean forward or kind of like twist around, it was a sustained, like extremely sharp, like 10 out of 10 pain, right? And it didn't help too that when that happened, and I'd had it happen before off and on, and a lot of people have this happen off and on throughout their lives, like randomly, and usually you feel it and it goes away a couple seconds later, right? Like you take a couple breaths, it's all good and whatever. But as soon as this happened, I started feeling the pain, and it went on for like 30 to 40 minutes to where like I was having a panic attack. You know, I'm like, is this a heart attack? What's going on? And so that happened, and then the next day I was just off. And what was weird is I didn't have the same pain I experience now. I experienced it yesterday, and we'll talk about that. But it was more of like a slight, like stabbing, knifey pain in my chest. And then on that Sunday, it was a very dull pain that kept making me nervous and anxious, like whatever had happened was going to happen again. And so I went to an urgent care place, and on Patreon, I was like, hey, I'm not feeling good. Like, I've got something going on. We're going to have to reschedule. I'm going to an urgent care place now. And so I go to the urgent care place. There's no wait, nobody there. And I go in, and they're like, oh, is it COVID? I'm like, no, I'm vaccinated, right? And I have no other symptoms of anything. And then they're like, okay. And so then they're like, well, because it's something to do with your chest, you're going to have, you know, we want to COVID test you. And I'm like, I'm vaccinated. Like, again, I don't know how I would have zero symptoms other than a stabbing pain, right? So, like, that's already kind of weird. And then the lady comes in, because remember, I lost my insurance at the end of last month. And this was literally on the 2nd when I went to the doctor. And so she, like, the doctor comes in and she's like, oh, I just saw that you're self-pay because I don't have insurance. And she's like, so you might not want to get the COVID test here because it's $150. What? So I'm like, no. And the lady's like swabbing my nose for the test. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not paying for that. Like, whatever, you know. And then the doctor was like confused, I guess, because they kept saying they were going to test me. And like, I guess it was just, they didn't know what was going on. But so the doctor thought literally I'm complaining about like COVID symptoms or something. And I'm like, no, I'm telling you I'm having like chest pains. I don't know what it is. It was excruciating pain, lasted like 40 minutes and it went away. And now I'm having like recurring symptoms. And she's like, well, without doing blood work, and I can't like run tests that you would need, you're over 30 and you're fat, so time to go to an ER, you know? And I'm like, well, I don't have insurance, so like, I don't know how I'm supposed to afford that bullshit, right? And she's like, literally what she told me was, you need to go to the ER, and it's better to be in debt than dead. So, for those of you that were so surprised that I have now a $4,000 bill that I can't pay because you live in countries where they take care of people, right? Just know the doctor literally said it's better to be in debt than dead, and told me to go to the ER. So I call like my family, you know, I call my parents to figure out, you know, whatever. And then I talk to Sydney, and depending on where you live right now and whatever's going on with COVID, some hospitals won't let people in with you that aren't like expressly family members or a spouse or whatever. Sydney and I obviously aren't married, so I didn't know. I had to call the hospital to be like, hey, can she come in? And they were like, well, you know, you can come in if it's not respiratory related, because then we have to do COVID protocols. And I'm like, well, I'm definitely not going to go in there saying it's my lung, right? I'm going in saying this doctor told me at an urgent care 5 minutes ago I need to get like EKG, heart attack test, like all that stuff, right? So we drive to the hospital. It's one I've never been to, but when I lived in Edmond maybe like 4 years ago, it's a big hospital complex, and part of it is actually primary care physicians and specialists. So I used to go to this place with my doctor, which was nice because they had like at least some record of me already. So when I show up, they just look at my name and, you know, they're like, all right, chill, go sit down. We'll have somebody out here. And like literally we sit down, 40 seconds later, the ER nurse is like, come on back, right? And I mean, it was like, you know, I've never been to the emergency room before, and I've heard plenty of horror stories, like going to a busy one. Even a friend of mine literally was at an ER for heart-related stuff. Maybe 2 weeks later, here in Oklahoma, in Tulsa, and it was like a 6-hour ordeal. So I'm like, this is going to be an all-day thing, right? They immediately start running tests, yada, yada, yada. give me steroids, all this stuff, take x-rays, and they come back and they're like, well, everything's fine. All your blood work's great. Cholesterol's fine. Literally everything that we tested with you is fine. And they look at my chest x-ray and they're like, there's no sign of infection, right? And we don't see anything. So what that means is the pain that I had is pleurisy, right? And pleurisy is there's like a bag essentially around your lungs that like encases your lungs inside of your chest. And normally it's like satin or silk, and it rubs together when you move and you breathe, and it's no big deal. When you have pleurisy, instead of being nice and smooth, something has agitated that, and it turns it into like burlap or wool, and it starts dragging, and it catches, and that's what that pain is, right? And so the doctor's like, it happens usually if you have an infection or if you like have cancer or an injury. Like usually there's like a direct reason for the irritation. But he's like, I can't find anything. Now, if you guys remember, I was sick with like bronchitis. Both Sydney and I were like a month before, and it was a lot of coughing and whatever. So that could have had something to do with it, with my lungs in general being weaker. And then all the airbrushing that I do, the allergies that I have, working in the garage with the 3D printing stuff, being exposed to now like the fumes on resin, that's really not like, verdict's out in a lot of different ways. However, okay, like when I'm out there, I'm not out there for a long time. It's a vented space. It's in my garage and it's in an enclosure, right? So like I'm not like living with like 3D print fumes. That's not how we don't even use our garage for cars, right? Like it's literally just that out there. And then the only other thing that's dangerous really is the fact that there's like open IPA alcohol, right? And that's what you have to use to clean prints as you produce them. And you swap it out. It's like always open, just kind of fuming into the air, whatever. But again, it's a big garage. So my best guess, without going to a pulmonary specialist, right, I guess is what it is with your lungs, because there's no way I can afford it. I won't even be able to like get an appointment. If they're like, do you have insurance? And I say no, they're going to tell me to fuck off, right? So best guess that I have is all of these things combined plus whatever triggered this to happen. Now, since then, I haven't done like anything all week. So I had some people, like I had one person immediately email me about something after, like on Monday, and I'm like, I'm not even gonna talk to you, right? Because you're thinking that I'm like fine or something. So like Monday through Wednesday, I was in 24-hour pain. Every single breath I took, it hurts. It even hurts right now, right? And I'm on ibuprofen. They didn't give me anything. They tell you literally all I can do is take ibuprofen. Now, if I was old, they would give me painkillers, but otherwise, they're like, you just take ibuprofen all the time. They did give me steroids, so that was really rough. Like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I felt really hot and just sick and not hungry, and it was really intense because they gave me steroids too through an IV, so I was just really jacked up on all the anti-inflammatory stuff. But so I'm just in pain. And I haven't had it re-trigger or anything like that. And the way that it kind of works is like if I get stressed and my breathing gets weird, my chest gets tight, if I'm breathing anything in that isn't just air, I start to feel pain in my chest again. And so, for example, yesterday, I glued together some little Terraini here. And as I was finishing, I started getting sharp pain in my chest, off and on. And that immediately told me, okay, so even though I didn't feel pain throughout the day like I had been earlier in the week, I can't be exposed to anything. So, like I have a 3M respirator with like the highest quality graded, little attacher deals, like the actual filters. Like I could walk through chlorine gas and be fine. Right, so like I have that. I'm gonna be wearing that all the time if I do any priming, if I'm in the garage working on 3D printing stuff, whatever. But just so you understand, right? Like, Sydney can help me prime, and that's cool. She knows how to point and shoot the trigger, so that'll work. I ended up rearranging, so you'll notice I'm in like a different part of the room here. I did rearrange on like Wednesday or Thursday my entire office, so that way I can have this window be vented out completely for if I'm airbrushing, whatever. Which I had a vent going out anyway, but it's like over here. I don't know, like you can see the tube and I have to move it and all this stuff. So I moved everything in here, did a deep clean, and then intense pain, right? Because there's dust or whatever. And like I have to have somebody come mow my lawn because I can't mow my lawn, right? So it's just a very unknown situation. And I don't want to trigger this again because it kind of, it'll delay the healing. So, printers haven't been running. If you're waiting on an order doing anything like that, it hasn't been running. Probably what's going to happen is I will be shipping stuff out, and then slowly starting on the back order of prints and things like that. As I feel like if I have a day where I have zero pain, then that next day I'll probably put a respirator on and start working, right? But like that's not today because I feel pain. Maybe it'll be tomorrow, but I doubt it. From everything I've seen with something as bad as I had where the pleurisy lasts for that long, it can take 2 weeks or a month or longer to fully heal. Since I don't have an infection, I'm assuming it'll take a couple weeks, right? This is a full week as of today. From the whole situation, and I definitely my constant pain is at a 1. A couple days ago it was at like a 3 or a 4, right, out of 10. When the pain was going on, it was like a 10 or 11 out of 10, right? So I am getting better over time. I just don't know, like I said yesterday, being exposed to super glue and all of a sudden I got a sharp pain in my chest. That's like, okay, well, and it's in the same location every single time. It's like the top part of my left lung. It's actually like bruised and tender because if you put pressure on your chest, it actually helps compress the irritation. So like literally if I've been like anxious or arguing or breathing heavy or doing anything, I've literally been pushing on my chest. And so I've like bruised my chest from applying a bunch of pressure. But so anyway, I'm doing the best I can. I do appreciate everybody that has reached out. I've had people reach out to tell me I'm a fat ass and I need to work out outdoors 3 to 4 hours a day. That dickhead got banned from the page immediately. But I've also had a lot of really nice people reach out and, tell me, hey, like, you really are getting shit on right now. Like, I want to thank JT. He sent Sydney and I money so, like, we could get some food, right? Sybin in Australia sent some cash, right? So, and obviously, like, I was amazed when people donated enough money to help replace the camera, right? But I'm even more impressed that then they think, like, we're going to knock off this big debt. Like, I'm telling you already, I've started going through the process of trying to get financial aid for it. It's probably not going to happen. I'm probably not going to be able to pay this debt. They will sue me over it. I'll have nothing to give them, and it'll just destroy my credit. That's the reality of what's going to happen. It is what it is. That's America, baby. Woo woo, best country in the world. So, but so it is scary. I can't produce prints like I need to. I'm assuming at some point next week I can start up again, which will still be on track for everybody that started the automatic subscription service, which I haven't even talked about publicly. That's only a Patreon thing for now. There is new stuff on the store, but thankfully, or maybe not thankfully, I don't know, but orders haven't come in really. I haven't really talked about it though, so it's one of those things where I don't want a bunch of orders coming in right now. I can shut off the store, honestly, but it's just scary. I have no idea what's going to happen in terms of if like I somehow trigger this later today, if whatever, right? I'm watching out for other symptoms they told me, fever, swelling, anything that will indicate that it is an infection that's causing it. And not just like some form of irritation. But yeah, I mean, I literally can't just like regularly do what I've been doing. So, and that's scary because how am I supposed to continue everything? But beyond all of that, being really, really terrible, like I said, I do appreciate all of the good vibes, everything like that. On Patreon, I put up a big post that was very brutally honest, right? Like, this is the reality of the situation. I'm sending back commissions to people. Like, sorry, it's never happening, right? Like, I am not going to be in a position anytime soon where, one, I can handle picking up the slack on the store now. the schedule for the sponsored streams, for private lessons, the Patreon stuff, me figuring out how to get a job so I'm not putting as much stress on my lungs that are clearly, well, my left lung for whatever reason, and it probably has to do with the scarring from me having pneumonia as a kid. But figuring all of this out and figuring out how to, move on is really difficult. So, but beyond all of that, there is a little bit of good news, which is pretty cool. So the reason I'm dressed weird, well, I didn't even weird. This is how I normally dress. I got to be real with you. But the reason I'm doing a video that's going to be like this, but different, I have to film an intro video because I'm going to be working with Weird Miniatures. So the company behind Through the Breach, The Other Side, Malifaux. I'm going to be doing some weekly streaming with them. Through their Twitch, but they're going to be multi-streaming too eventually, so it'll be on Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, whatever, right? They're just now getting started. They have some content creators. I can't remember. I think it was either World Edit or Trashorama on Twitch, but they were the ones that told me that they were looking for content creators. And then somebody else too, I forget who it was, asked like, hey, did you go apply for this? And I really have to give it to Weird. I already have a good feeling about working with them in general based on, one, how much of a real company they are in terms of signing documents, NDAs, contracts, and having an HR person or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, without throwing hands, so to speak, right? That's never been the case with companies I've worked for. There's never been a contract. There's never been any type of professionalism other than hey, whatever, right? So that's really nice. Signed a bunch of documents with them, and from what I understand, I kind of I told them some of the things I'm interested in. I would like to help them kind of re-push The Other Side. I feel like that's a cool game potentially, and then they're just going to send me some crew boxes, I believe, or anything new they want me to show off of Malifaux as well. I've never interacted with the Malifaux community, so it should be pretty fun. But yeah, we're just going to be doing really fun painting on some really weird stuff. Do you see what I did? I'm good at it. I'm trying here. But anyway, so I have to film a little intro video for them, and they'll probably edit that into a little stinger, and then we'll figure out what's going on. No schedule yet. They're going to pull me in. They actually have a scheduling application thing that they're managing all of that. So it's kind of like a choose your own time slot type of deal between everybody that's available, but it'll be once a week. That 2+ hour slot that we're used to, and it's not going to be something, I don't really know yet. They're going to send me stuff in the mail, and then I'll see what they've sent me, and I'll kind of come up with a plan. But it's not something where I'm trying to finish a miniature in every session. Maybe sometimes if it's a group of something that I think is easy, I can knock them out. But I definitely want to do some higher level painting on that in general. So. But either way, so that's good news. And whenever there's more info about that, I'll post about it, right? Whatever the schedule is, whatever day I pick, whatever the time slot is. I may start pushing streams later into the evening during the week because if I need to get a job throughout the day, whatever the case is, right, that'll allow us to do that. And then in general, right, the Facebook, depending on what happens in the future, the streaming and the Facebook stuff may just turn into posting when I can, and then I'm just doing Patreon elsewhere, right? Having a lung injury and doing what I'm doing currently for money, right, either working with the 3D printing stuff, which is very respiratory involved, so to speak, as well as because I always wear a respirator, or a mask, whatever, and I use my airbrush booth anytime I'm doing priming, a lot of heavy work like that. But you guys know all the time, if I'm streaming and I'm I'm going to do a little shadow, I just, psst, and then, don't throw a mask on, don't do whatever. And that's obviously not good. I'm always one of the first people to say you should be wearing a mask whenever you're airbrushing. But, I don't whenever it's these small little interactions with the airbrush. And even then, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to start doing it. It's gonna look like an episode of Breaking Bad, right? And I'm gonna have to put on the real deal big boy. That's why the beard got trimmed, so that way the respirator can, suction itself right up to the gullet down here, and I get protected pretty much. So, but today is not bad. If you've sent me a message and I haven't replied to you, I'm sorry. It is what it is. I haven't had time off in so many years, and I haven't had like, it's funny that I have to go through a medical emergency for me to be able to, like, sit back and be like, what changes can I make to make my life easier? Like, moving my painting space, things like that, right? Like, it's unfortunate that's the reality. But, so, you know, I've had some people reach out. I've had some people reach out every single day to ask how I'm feeling. I really appreciate that. I've been talking too much now, and my pain has now increased slightly. So I'm just going to have to not talk because I know I'm going to be talking later this evening. So I do appreciate you. For those of you that were able to hop in, I definitely can feel a nice warm burning sensation up in the top of my lung right now, which means I need to stop what I'm doing. So, but I do appreciate all of the good vibes. I have no idea when I'm going to start streaming. Obviously, tomorrow is Miniature Monday. I am currently planning on it happening, and it may just be a Miniature Monday where I can't talk a lot, but I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, we'll see how it goes. I know it sucks, but like at this point, right? Like, what can I do? Sorry, you know. I mean, it is what it is. I when I rescheduled stuff. And I was like, you know, because this was before I understood really how long it could take for this stuff to heal or whatever the case was. You know, I was like, hey, we'll reschedule Miniature Monday for next Monday, but my level of pain stayed the same for like the next 5 days. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, so how would I know that's what was going to happen? So, but yeah, either way, I appreciate all the good vibes, all that stuff. People just hanging around, seeing what happens next, and you know, at least the next episode, right? Like, there are chapters to all of my streaming life, I'm sure. The next chapter is me just probably not caring about a lot of things that I used to care about for just my own benefit. And then I'll give you updates on dodging the debt collectors for this bill. So I'll let you know when I get sued. It'll be fun. We'll all figure that out together as they try and collect a medical debt that they'll never get. So, but Trevor, I appreciate that, but again, like, I really don't think people would, like, it's such an expensive amount for a bill. I wouldn't even want to ask people for that money because I feel like people would have to give more than they really should. So, and it is what it is. So, but anyway, that's it. But I hope you like the new look. It turned. Wait, oh god, my lung. Hold on, why did it do that? Oh, it's because I didn't touch it. So, hold on, guys. So I actually learned. Look at that, trippy. I actually learned with this camera, if the focus doesn't adjust for like 10 minutes, it turns off, or like 25 minutes or something. But it's funny that it did that because normally when I'm streaming, I touch it so much it doesn't matter. But thanks for hanging out. That's it. Thanks for everybody who was here. Your homework from me today is to go look up Malifaux stuff, look up Bushido stuff. I mean, I haven't been totally unproductive. Look at these. Look at these, huh? What do you know about that? What do you know about that, huh? What do you know about this little easy peasy terrain, man? What you know about this? Why people are like, why don't you show us terrain videos, man? Because I don't like you that much. That's why. No, I'm kidding. But don't worry, this is PVA glue. I'm not like this. No super glue or any type of fumes were involved in making this stuff. So don't worry. But you know, otherwise, that's it. Check out Bushido. You're probably gonna see Bushido stuff on stream. Check out weird stuff. I already have 2 core boxes. I got a Jezda box, a Perdido box. I've got some goblins coming. Whatever weird is sending me. You know, honestly, they told me that they would send me Cult of the Burning Man stuff from the other side. So if they send me an army box, then you're gonna see that. The Age of Sigmar stuff is still on the way. All that good stuff. We have all kinds of stuff coming. It's just if you know, Big Boy's lungs are gonna be okay. But you know, it is what it is. So have a good rest of your Sunday. I will see you later. Garden's booming. Hot sauce is ready. I'm gonna do a giveaway for some hot sauce in the near future, guys. The hot sauce is so good. I gave a baby jar to my neighbor. The next day, he said he ate it all, and he wanted to pay me to make him more, and I made him a giant jar. He didn't pay me, but it's because I'm a good neighbor that's in medical debt. So, thank you so much, guys. Adios. I appreciate you. Goodbye.